Thank you for joining the Dads Are Cool Too podcast. Please subscribe for exclusive content and send your favorite stories about parenthood to dadsarecool2@gmail.com.
So I turn the TV on and I put it on like the lowest volume that's still audible,
Yeah.
so that my parents couldn't hear it. So a very intelligent little boy, 4 or 5 years old, decides to sit right in front of the TV. But right in front of the TV meant that I sat on the glass coffee table. So I'm enjoying it. My hands is on my chin. I'm like, yeah, like He-Man, I love it.
I see where this is going.
And I'm watching it, and all I heard was crick crick. Or crick crick. And I'm like, oh, this is not happening right now.
Dads are cool too. Dads are cool too.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dad's a Cool 2 podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you for everybody that's been liking, subscribing, sharing it with friends and family,
For sure.
giving us 5 stars, all that good stuff. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So shout out to my beautiful family, my beautiful wife, Alexis, my daughter, Ava, she's 5. Shout out to Mill, my daughter, Amelia, she's 4. And my mother-in-law, my mother, everybody that's just been supporting us this whole time.
Yeah, for sure. My family as well. My wife, Karen, my little girl, Kobe, my little man, Jackson.
Jax.
Every time Jackson sees me doing editing or anything like that, he just runs up to the computer. That's daddy. That's daddy. Like, I don't know who I am.
I couldn't watch the I couldn't watch the video without them running up and saying, "That's you, daddy. That's you."
They gotta
And I'm
let
like,
you know. They gotta let you know.
I'm like, "That's me." I'm like, "That's me. That's me."
It's a beautiful thing. And I really appreciate everybody that, once again, that's supporting us, that's giving us that great feedback, that's letting us know how we can get better. If you haven't done so already, please go to our Instagram, Dads Are Cool 2 with 3 O's, and Dads Are Cool 2 on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll have a link on our YouTube for all of those sites. So as we talk about our families, so how has your family been? This is episode 2, so it's a lot that's going on in the past month.
We had Father's Day. We had a lot
Yeah,
going on.
a lot of stuff going
So
on.
Father's Day was probably the best Father's Day I had since becoming a father.
Wow.
So we had a surprise barbecue at my mother's house.
Okay.
And along with the barbecue, the kids up in the pool. And then towards the middle of the barbecue, the family came out and they were like, "We got a surprise for y'all." So I'm looking around. Who's pregnant? What's going on? Who's having another baby in the family? I had to look at Lex like, hold on. It's a pandemic. Is it us?
It's a pandemic.
Is it us? All right. It's not? All right, cool, man. So they come out with a laptop and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Let's check this out. So it's a video. They did a whole video with our children saying what they're grateful for us for and all that stuff. So that was amazing. We thought that was it. They came out with a card with each lady telling us how they felt about us and Happy Father's Day. So that was awesome. The card was awesome. We owe them the greatest Mother's Day next year possible. Like, I think that we're going to be booking them trips to the Bahamas. They had trips to Africa coming up. That was like the best Father's Day that any of us can imagine. So
that's great.
Shout out to my mom, my mother-in-law. Shout out to Lex. Shout out to Tawana. Shout out to Erica. My sisters, Yana and Tasha. Danny was chefing it up on a grill. Thank you so much. So shout out to everybody. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I don't think I did. Trying to make sure everybody is up in there.
That's what's
but
up.
that was awesome. How was your Father's Day?
It was good. On my actual Father's Day, we went out to Long Island to my wife's sister house, and just wanted the kids to get out the house and just have fun. And I got to like relax a little bit.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
And that was great. Like that's all I really needed.
Yeah.
Outside of that, since we recorded last, my kids are back in daycare now.
Oh, they are. I didn't know that.
Which is good. They only go on half days.
How do you feel about that though? Like with everything still going on.
We didn't want them to. We didn't want them to go back, but I don't know if it was a scheme by the daycare or not. But
50% off.
Yes. They were basically
You
like,
didn't have to tell me. I
in
already know.
order for them to keep their spots in September, which was when we were like originally like we're gonna go let them go back in September, you have to pay 50% in July and August. And I'm like, well, if we're paying 50%, they go on 50% of the time.
Which makes sense to me.
So they go for like a half a day, which is good. Karen and I get a chance to do whatever, clean, do some work, because it's almost impossible when they're in the house. But
yeah, definitely.
It definitely helps out. Shout out to all the teachers out there. Shout out to all the single parents that
Oh my God.
legit take care of kids all day long, especially during this pandemic. Because when this pandemic started, I had everything planned out. I was like, all right, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. But 30 minutes is a long time when kids don't have an attention span past like 30 seconds. It's crazy. Like, so.
Also, the single dads is out there and they're working.
So
you got
for
the
sure.
combo. You go to work and you're
insane to
tired.
me.
You get back and you still gotta, fulfill your duties. So that too.
Single dads and single moms, you right.
Yeah, and also y'all finally get some alone time also with that, because y'all were watching the babies from the morning to the night, and finally, like, even though you're working, you could just relax for a little bit together.
That's what I thought.
Sounds good.
But because of the schedule, her and I are still working during those times, so we don't really have too much alone time. We're alone in the house at the same time, but not together necessarily.
That makes sense.
And it's just fun. I mean, this is temporary, and we're working through it, and and it's still great, man. It's just we're really appreciative of everything that we have going on. We were able to work through the pandemic and still have jobs and still have some income and revenue coming into the house. So despite some of the hard times, we still really appreciative of everything that we have. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's great. It's good.
I don't think that we ever got to get into how you're a professor and what you do for work.
Oh yeah, we didn't get into that.
Let's talk about that, doctor.
Okay. So I'm a professor of chemical engineering at New Jersey Institute of Technology. Went into industry for a little bit. Yeah. Which it was cool. It was interesting, but I didn't realize how much I would miss and loved doing research, and kind of have like a little bit more control over what I was looking into on a day-to-day basis. So I wanted to get back into academia to actually do that. And one thing that I love about my profession is interaction with the kids, especially the ones that really need it. So shout out to all my students that I've ever had that's listening to this. I know a few of them are listening to this.
Nice.
Because I'm still friends with them. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm a professor of chemical engineering. It's cool. It's great.
That's super cool.
Yeah,
like,
and it also gives me.
For that.
I appreciate that. It's really good right now because, like I said, we're really blessed because my wife's job is a typical 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So she has a lot of meetings, some of which, I guess, all of them are necessary. But she's probably not happy how many meetings she has. But you have to be there for those meetings. And my job was a little more flexible, where I can kind of stay up late and work by myself at night or work on the weekends, and no one will really kind of miss me as long as I'm there for the classes. Yeah. I submit papers, I submit whatever I need to submit. And I have a little bit entrepreneurial kind of spirit to it, so which is nice, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's super cool. Yeah. I'm just happy I always get to tell people, like, yeah, my co-host is a doctor. Shout out to my man Nellone, you know what I mean? Like I'm proud of you. Like, we grew up on the same block in Canarsie in Brooklyn, and to say like my friend hit his goals and he's a doctor is like awesome. Yeah, thank you. And then for us to do this together is like,
I appreciate
what more can I ask for?
I appreciate that.
My man right here. Since we grew up playing basketball together since we were
like 9 years old.
9, 8, like I was probably like 8, 7. Yeah. Like, so to see where we are now is like awesome. Yeah. And as fathers, especially. Because you could tell how much Kobe and Jax love you. Like, even when I'm just FaceTiming you and I see them right on top of you, on your back, on your shoulder, right there. Like, Daddy, what you doing? Feel it. Like, Daddy, what you doing? I'm like, I'm so proud of you. Yeah. So that's super awesome.
Cool. And, all right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the topic for today, about Tim and I as early fathers and how we felt about our experiences during pregnancy and childbirth and everything like that. So we'll be right back.
Unexpected and expected.
Abundance is a place we call home. More than dance, there's yoga, Pilates, and fitness classes coming up in September. Also, the place is dope for rentals, for podcasts, photo shoots, and other exciting new content creations. Follow Charisma J at Abundance BK or Abundance Studios BK on Instagram. For more information, go to abundancearts.org. That's ABUNDANCEARTS.org.
So how was your first pregnancy? How did you find out, and how did that go?
Yeah, sure. So our first kid, Jackson, he was actually planned. We were sorry.
Shout out my man Jack.
So Karen and I were driving up to the Smithsonian to see the African American Museum of Art.
Oh, nice.
We were living in Virginia at the time. We were on that, what is it, like a 2-3 hour drive. And as we were driving, she's like, "You want to have a baby?" And
Wow.
I was like, I thought about it for a second, and I was like, sure, why not? Like, we had some of our financials together, and everything was straight. And so I always wanted to have kids. So, and then I know she wanted to have kids, and we decided to do that, and it went well. The second pregnancy was not planned very much at all. It takes two to tango, but it takes one to take a pill. So,
So she was like, "All right, I'm off this."
it's crazy.
Let's
Like,
make this happen.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened
Okay.
on her end. I'm not going to speculate. My wife actually asked me when she told me she took the test, and she came out the bathroom and was like, "I'm pregnant."
Yeah.
And the first thing she asked me was, "Are you mad?" I'm like, "Oh, like, so you can set me up 18 years later from now. You'll be like, your daddy ain't even want you."
She tried to set you up one time.
So yeah, but I mean, I was fine with it and understand. I mean, the thing with me is just that, I think our parents, we have a lot more than our parents ever had, and we are able to give back to our kids a lot more. So we're in a better position, I feel like,
Oh, definitely.
than our parents were. And if they were able to do it, then
Yeah.
we're blessed enough to actually do that, and I'm happy about
All the
that
sacrifices they make, so that way we could be in a position to
For
be
sure.
better than they were.
for sure.
Which that we're going to eventually try to do for our children, to try to
Yeah.
make sure that
And we
generation down just keeps flowing.
and we made sacrifices too, but I don't think anywhere near as much as our parents did. So
Oh yeah,
um,
especially during the time that they were living in.
yeah,
It's way different than the time we're living in now. Even though now isn't as much better, but there's more opportunities than there
for
were.
sure. Now, if she said 3,
That's where I drew the line.
what was your first time with the pregnancy and when you found out?
Definitely anxious. We didn't plan the first one, but I feel like we planned the second one more, because we always knew that we wanted to have children back to back. We wanted to have our children be best friends and close. So the first part, I was super anxious. I'm wondering how I'm going to be as a dad. I know I have nieces and nephews and things like that I've been around, but it's different when you have your own child.
Yeah,
So you can always
For
give
sure.
that child back. You're like, oh yeah, shout out to Natasha, my sister. Hey, your daughter's wilding out. Come pick up your baby. But when you have your own children, it's a 24/7, responsibility.
Mhm.
So the second child, we knew that we wanted to have another child that would be close in age, and they could be, super close and have a best friend, which actually worked out great. Like, our daughters are best friends right now. They do everything together, and it's very easy that way.
Okay,
for us.
cool. But so during your first pregnancy, what did you do to prepare for the baby? Like, what was the fatherhood prep? What did you and your wife do?
Yeah, so I for me, I did a little bit of YouTube University.
Oh, really?
A little bit of YouTube University, a couple of books, but Alexis already had a daughter, so
Okay.
she was a little bit more prepared than me. She was actually more guiding me and telling me, what to expect and everything like that. Because your first child, you don't know what to expect, and
Yeah.
she definitely guided me through and told me, like, things are going, but you still have to deal with the different things that a woman goes through
Yeah,
while
for
she's
sure.
pregnant. So
Absolutely.
there's no book or any YouTube that could guide you through that. Really, that's something that you experience, and then after you experience it, the next time you're like, all right, I'm more prepared. It's like you gotta get into the game to really know how it goes.
Yeah, we had all the baby books too, all the apps, and there's some interesting articles, some interesting videos. I guess it's cool to know that your baby is the size of a papaya at 6 months, whatever it is. But real talk, the last line of those baby books should be, forget everything we just said. You're on your own, bro. Because it's so unpredictable. And we both have 2 kids.
Yeah.
And even though you got 2 girls, I got a boy and a girl. They're so different. And the dynamic of every parent is different. Whatever the household is, it's all different.
Yeah.
And the baby books can't really predict that. You know what I mean? So like my son, he's not the toughest kid in the schoolyard.
All right.
but my daughter, Kobe, aka Baby D from Friday, she be just bullying everybody left and right. Like they're just so different, and they drag you in 2 different directions all the time. Yeah. Definitely try to read the baby books, look at apps, look at articles. You get good information from there, but trust in yourself and just do your best as a parent, and just try your hardest, because you never really know. It's crazy.
Yeah. On what you said, I have a theory about that. I think the youngest child is always the bully and the aggressive one.
Yeah.
In my family, my youngest daughter Millie is the most aggressive one. Ava, she's laid back. My nieces, Lily, she's the most aggressive one. My laid back, the older one, laid back.
Yeah.
Also in my family, we have a big family. Also in my family, Kelsey.
Yeah.
She's also in school. My youngest daughter, that's my baby cousin. And she's super aggressive. And Journey, she's a little bit laid back. I wouldn't say she's all the way laid back.
Yeah.
But the older ones are always laid back. They're like, I've been here before. Calm down. Yeah.
You know what's Kobe's favorite food? Yo food. Like we'll give both her and Jackson some food, a bowl of food, and she'll push her bowl away and go to Jackson's plate, a bowl, and try to snatch his food every single time. And we're like, yo, it's the same food. Yeah. What is wrong with you? Like that girl is crazy. I don't understand the terrible twos either, because the ones is pretty bad. Yeah. Like
once they start walking,
the ones is like really bad. Terrible twos when they 2 with Jackson. So I think you had the same thing. You have you had a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Right now, that's what I'm experiencing right now.
Yep.
With Jackson, the 2-year-old, he understands what punishment means. He understands a little bit of logic. Kobe would just look at you and just and that's it. Like, it's real funny.
What would you say is the big difference between having a boy and a girl? Because I have 2 girls, so it's kind of like I knew what to prepare for and how I would react to different situations. So having a boy and then a girl, how is that feeling different than when you knew you was about to have a boy?
That's interesting. I think it was the same feeling. I think that's maybe my personality more so. It was just I'll let things come to me as it is.
Yeah.
Right. I'll try to prepare as much as possible, but I understand that you can't prepare for everything. Right. That is true. Like you can't prepare for everything. So I was really open to what it was going to be like to have a girl. I know when Jax was coming, one of the things I would say to my wife, I would say to Karen, like, yo, you never play with me. I can't wait to have my son so I have somebody to play with. Like, and now I'm like, yo, Jackson, leave me alone, because he never wants to stop. So she be laughing in the background like, you one of the best friends, right? You want somebody to play with. There you go. But that's what I was excited about with him. And with Kobe, I think I was more, I was kind of more thinking about how to prepare logistically a little bit, like with the finances and things like that. I think that's what my mom was mainly on, just to make sure we could handle the 2 kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I knew it was going to get a little more rough. So yeah, it was a little different.
You saying that, like, preparing financially. One thing I would say to all the fathers out there is, even if you're expecting the baby to be 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, I would say get life insurance now. That's one thing I'm like big on. I think that you don't know, especially with the pandemic going on, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know You always prepare for the future, and this is one way that you definitely should be preparing for the future. Get the life insurance. Anything happens, you know that they're set for life, and they could go on after you. They won't have to worry about bills and different things like that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I would say financially look out for and be on top of.
Cool.
Yeah.
What was the biggest surprise about what was the biggest surprise after your first kid? What did you not really expect?
So with my oldest daughter, Ava, they always say that, like you're not going to get any sleep. And I'm thinking like, eventually it's going to be easier. But she was waking up every 2 hours for it felt like forever. And to the point that I was in a routine where I would wake up right before the alarm clock. So every 2 hours when I wake up, I'm like, all right, let me set another alarm clock for 2 hours.
I got you. Yeah.
I would wake up before the alarm clock. I'm making a bottle, and the bottle thing will go off, and she starts crying. And I'm like, I got this. Like I'm a professional now, hopping up off the bed. So, and it's crazy because now after I had my second daughter, I'm thinking, oh, she's going to mess up the sleeping schedule. Everything is good with Ava. Yeah. Millie's going to be crying every 2 hours. It almost immediately, she started sleeping right through the night, which made life so much easier. I was like, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking like the 2 hours, it was hard. And I'm a spoiler. Like I got girls. I'm super spoil mode. I'm the worst. You can ask my wife. I'm terrible when it comes to spoiling them. But I would walk around with them, which one thing I would recommend you don't do. If they're crying and stuff like that, make a schedule and stick to it. I would walk around. I would hold them. It was like with Ava, that's my first daughter. Yeah. So I'm walking around. I'm holding her. I'm dancing with her. And Lex is like, you are spoiling her. And you're going to have to do this every time. And, she knew better than me at the time. And I'm like, no, it's going to be good. And I definitely did spoil her. So I contributed to that one. And I think that when you have the second child, it's kind of like a piece of cake, right? Where you say, all right, it's kind
of the same thing with us though. Jackson had a really hard time sleeping by himself.
Yeah.
Kobe, not so much. We thought she would because my wife allowed Kobe to sleep kind of with us or with her in the first 3 months or so. And then when we tried to transition to the crib, we thought it was going to be a really hard time. But my second child, my daughter, she's a sleeper. When she's done, she's done. She's out.
Knocked out.
Yeah, she's done for real. But one of the biggest surprises for me was just like, there was just so much poop. It was so much. I've never seen so much different color poops, different textures. It was crazy after Jackson. And I guess I was prepared a little bit for Kobe, but with Jackson, it was just so much
everywhere,
poop all the time. And then Jackson didn't like to be dirty, but he also didn't like to get changed, which was crazy. So he would cry when he pooped or whatever had happened down there. Yeah. And then he would cry when he's on the changing table. And at the point, there was a point where we thought he was talking at like 4 months. Because he would cry so hard. Yeah. Then you hear, okay. You're like, did he say okay?
Yeah, different languages for different poops.
I'm like, that must be the Trini in him.
So is there anything during your childhood that your parents did to you or you thought that you would never end up doing when you became a parent?
Yes, I have to think about that. Well, I know my parents would chase me to bed because just like my son, I also had FOMO.
Oh, okay. You just
right. So I wanted to be up late. I wanted to be up early. When I was younger, I remember this. So I remember I knew, so this was like early 90s, and I knew there was 80s cartoons that I was missing. Like that came on at 6:30. I don't know how I figured it out, but I was like, there's cartoons at like 6:30 in the morning that I'm missing and I need to catch. Yeah. So I would wake up super early and go into the living room and watch these like He-Man, for example. I would watch He-Man. And like a couple of times my dad came out with the belt too and would just chase me right back into bed. And say, you gotta get your rest. You gotta get your rest. You can know when you get children.
Guyanese accent came out and everything. In America, ready to whip some butt.
But one time, I decided I wanted to watch TV, and it was really early in the morning. So I went. We lived in Bushwick. Like this, it's probably like a studio apartment if my memory serves me correctly.
Okay.
And I got up early, and I went to watch TV. So I turned the TV on, and I put it on like the lowest volume that's still audible, so that my parents couldn't hear it. So a very intelligent little boy, 4 or 5 years old, decides to sit right in front of the TV. But right in front of the TV meant that I sat on the glass coffee table. So I'm watching. I'm enjoying it. My hands is on my chin. I'm like, yeah, like I love it.
I see where this is going.
And I'm watching it, and all I heard was crick crick. Heard crick crick. And I'm like, oh, this is not happening right now. And the more I move, the more crick cricks I heard. Just crick 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 crick. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me just get up. So I just try to get up, but the pressure that I took to get up, the glass just shattered right underneath me. And I was such a skinny little kid. Once again, just like my son, super skinny. Only my butt broke the glass. So I'm stuck butt first in the glass. Can't even move. The glass shattered. And my parents came out. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to get in mad trouble. And the only punishment that I had was that they didn't replace the glass. They just taped it for like 6 to 7 months just to remind me,
like, sit there.
This is what you did.
Every time they come to watch TV, the family come over. They're like, yeah, look what Nellone did.
I felt so bad.
Oh, God.
Yo, that was so terrible. You were quick, quick. What about you? Anything that your family did to that you do now with your children?
I thought that I would have it down pat where I wouldn't be a spoiler. Once I found out I was having girls, I was like, oh, it's over. I'm gonna be spoiling them. Like once I found out, I'm like, oh, girls, it's over. Like there's no way I can say no. And I think that I knew that from my nieces. Okay. Like they would come over, spend the night, and they would ask for stuff, and I could not tell them no. And my mom, the way she's so nice and stuff like that, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be nice and stuff like that, but I'm gonna be a little bit more stricter. Okay. And that has not happened at all. They come to me whenever they want stuff, whenever they want if it's ice popsicles, snacks, whatever they like. Daddy, can we get a snack?
Yeah.
So what I thought that I was not gonna be spoiling them as much, and I failed.
I think some of the things that my parents bestowed upon me, that's gonna come into play when they're a little more cognizant of what's happening around them.
Yeah.
I know my mom, for example, one of the things she always would say to me is, bless your teachers, bless your fellow students. Yeah. And she'll make me say like a little prayer to bless everybody, which what I interpret it as in now, whether you're religious or not, is just not like to have good vibes, as people would say right now, right? Like not go into school or to an environment, workforce, whatever it is, with any type of like bad spirit in you. And that's why even when like if I have a supervisor or whatever and I don't agree with them, I don't come home with that energy. You know what I mean? So that's helped me like throughout my life. I wouldn't hold on to that for the entire day. I kind of would just let it go because of that affirmation that my mom would always say to me before I actually get into school. As we were walking to school, she would say, bless your teachers, bless your classmates, bless your friends. And I think that has like had an effect on me and it's carried me out because I have a bunch of friends. Yeah.
And that's one thing about our families. Like, I love about both of our families and your family, especially, how much of a real family it is and how much people love to be around your family, right? Like since we were younger, people love to go to your house. People love to go to my house. It's still the same way where it's very inviting. And then that carries on into us where it's like people want to come and hang out with us or our personalities grew into the same way our families were. And now we're the same way where it's positive vibes all the time and always inviting where people be like, oh, I want to be like that family. Yeah. Let's get into your delivery room stories. How did that go?
The delivery room. It was crazy. First off, I would definitely recommend being there for your child, your children, your
100%.
child being born. It's the most beautiful yet disgusting, most beautiful thing that you'll ever see. With Jackson, my first kid, he came about 1 month premature. So he was born November 28th. His due date was December 28th, and that was really smooth. That was very smooth. I came home for lunch, didn't get to eat lunch. I walked into the door. Karen walked out. Was like, my water broke. And
oh wow! It's on your when you came home for
when
lunch?
I came home for
wow,
lunch.
so y'all almost had a kind of Tiana Taylor, Iman Shumpert moment in there.
No,
not there. They had to take out the Beats headphones.
So everything was good though. We went to the hospital. She wanted it to be a natural birth.
Okay.
But around 3:00 in the morning, that went very much awry. She decided she was in too much pain. I realized that she was in too much pain when Karen, the germaphobe, started biting the bed sheets from the hospital.
Yeah. And she she don't notice she's doing that. You're like, oh, good. So get me out of here. Get me out of here.
So we had the anesthesiologist come in. He did his thing, and that's when I started freaking out because it's a very long needle. He stuck her in the back.
Ooh.
And
if you had never had childbirth, like this needle is.
I saw I don't know if it was blood or spinal fluid, and then I was like, "You guys have to excuse me for a little bit." Went outside the room. I went to get the nasty hospital ginger ale because why did they use those brands?
Yeah, the worst.
So I got some ginger ale. Came back into the room. The anesthesiologist was done. Karen was a little more calm. The nurse was looking at me like, "Are you okay?" So I had to sit down. Like it was just a lot for me going. Like it was just a lot.
Yeah.
So I sat down. I think Karen ended up falling asleep. I ended up falling asleep, and then like 5 hours later, she was ready for the childbirth. And once again, it's the most beautiful thing that you could ever see. Like it's
definitely is beautiful.
It's a great thing. With my second child, Kobe, I don't know if I ever told you this.
Yeah.
Kobe was about to be a toilet baby.
Oh, so she was about to be what I thought for the first.
Kobe was about to be a toilet baby.
You never told me this.
It was good. About 10:30 at night where Karen's water broke. And she goes into the back. She comes back out. She's like, "Oh, I think my water broke." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" And she goes back. She's like, I'm gonna call the doctor. Yeah. By the time maybe 5 minutes, less than that passed, I grabbed Jackson. He got his jacket on. He got his shoes on. He don't know what's going because he already asleep.
Oh yeah,
I got everything ready. I got my jacket on. I got bags packed. And she's like, "No, I think I'm okay. I'm gonna wait it out." I was like, "Are you sure? Like, just go to the hospital just in case."
And she was gonna wait it out even though the water broke.
Dog, don't ask me. So you asked that question. That's what I was asking to myself too. But I'm a grown man now, so I know not to tell a woman what she's feeling. And I'm not gonna tell a woman how her body is feeling. So I was like, you know what? Cool. Take Jackson jacket back off, put him back to bed. I go to sleep. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, whatever you want to do. I go to sleep. 3:30 in the morning. All I hear is I woke up like, yo, what is going on in this house? And I wake up, I'm looking into the bathroom. The bathroom light is on. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to tell her what to do. She's going to let me know when she's ready. So I think I fell back to sleep for like 20 minutes.
Oh, goodness.
Right? I was like, you know what? Whatever you want to do. Next thing I know. And I wake up again. And now Karen is outside the bathroom in the closet. Like half her body's in the closet. She's crouched down and she's making all these noises. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm calling the sister. We're going right to the hospital right now.
Yeah.
So
no more waiting.
Packed up, got Jackson up. He's still like, what's going on? Like, what's up with y'all? Y'all waking me up multiple times. Y'all always want me to go to sleep. Now I'm sleeping. So I got in the car. It's 4:15. Well, that's when I looked at the clock.
4:15 in the morning.
4:15 in the morning. That's when I looked at the clock. on the way to the hospital. Get to the hospital, park in the parking lot. And for some reason, there's multiple elevators to go to the actual delivery room. It's like one elevator to the right, got to get off on the main floor, go to another elevator to the left. It was crazy. But each time Karen's like falling out the elevator. I'm carrying the car seat with Jackson and I'm carrying her. I'm like, my wife's having a baby. Somebody help me. It was it was
it's
crazy.
Like a movie.
It was
like a movie.
Crazy.
Like that sounds like a movie scene. Like when he carried baby, somebody help us. Everybody looking like, yo, you're gonna be all right. And you're like,
somebody got like she could barely walk. So we finally get up to the main floor. It was multiple floors that we had to go through. Finally get up to the main floor and they take it to the back somewhere. I'm with Jackson, we chilling. 10 minutes later, the nurse comes out. It's like, is he okay with other people? And I'm like, yeah, he's pretty cool as long as he has something to do.
Yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, so you should go back there because you're about to have a baby right now.
Like,
dog, right now. Like once again, it's 4:15. When we were driving, it's like 4:50 at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And she comes out like, you're about to have a
hospital.
baby right now.
Wow.
So I'll go back there. She told me what room they were in. I'll pop into the room. There's like 1,000 people in there. We're signing documents left and right. I'm pretty sure, like, by the time Kobe's 5-year-old, we got to like give her back or something like that. Some contract that we signed, we got Rumpelstiltskin.
They definitely snuck something
like,
in there.
we just like signing stuff because they're like, the baby's coming right now. Like, okay. And she was born at like 5:07 or something. I can't remember the exact time. It was like 5:07. Once again, we're in the car at 4:15. That's how, and I woke up at 3:30. Like that's how close we were, and she had no time for the epidural or anything like that. So Karen was in a lot of pain, and I'm not even gonna try to make this sound that she made for that final push. It was the most insane thing that I've ever heard in my life. Like it sounded like an exorcism. Like the building started to shake, the lights started to flicker. I think my soul got out of my body and was like, "Oh, I'm not messing with this." It came right back.
That sounds like my second birth.
It was crazy, like
something you don't expect. You're
and
like,
then of course,
the
most beautiful thing came out of Karen after.
And it's the second birth because the first one wasn't like that. So
but she had an epidural for the first one.
For the first one. So the second one, you're like, oh my goodness,
that was scary. Yeah. So how did yours go? How did your childbirth go?
So for the first child, Lex was having minor contractions and things like that, and the doctor told us that she probably had to do things to get those contractions up. So one thing was we went to the gym. Shout out to Planet Fitness on Church Avenue. We went to the gym and we were. I was walking with her. She would go on the treadmill, take some walks, and then sometimes I would be like, "All right, why are you doing this? Let me go get my weights in and stuff like that."
Got you.
Then I come back and walk with her. Another thing that they said was make love. So the doctor was like, make love, that's going to help out and everything like that. And
I've never heard that.
For real, I think that some people, they get worried, are you going to hurt the baby? That's one thing that I was worried about. I'm like, all right, am I going to hurt the baby? If the baby is almost on the way out, what am I doing? But the doctor was like, that's something that the doctor was like, no, this is something that's very good for the baby. It's very good for your wife. So I was like, I gotta do it. Right?
You feel obligated. He's like, I gotta do it. Dang it, I don't want to.
Oh man, again? This is how we got here. Right?
If you say so, Doc. So, you're the expert.
You say so, Doc. Babe, it's time, right? So fun times. So
oh my God, no.
Then other than that, we go in because she's having some contractions, and even when we get to the hospital, it's contractions, but it's not like all the way up. So she's doing anything to have contractions. So she's squatting, doing all types of stuff, and things start going smoothly. And they take us into the room, and having Ava was very smooth. It was beautiful. It was great. Everything was like perfect. Now, baby number 2 is where the real story comes along. So it's kind of the same story. But when we get into the delivery room, now you expect things to go the same way.
Okay.
But every baby is going to be different. Everything is going to be different. And when we're in the room, I'm trying to coach her and I'm being positive. I'm just being myself. You know, I'm energetic,
Go,
positive.
baby, push, baby.
Babe, push. You got this.
Yeah.
Oh, you got this, babe.
You got this.
Kind of repeating things that the doctors are saying. The doctors are saying, do this. And I'm like,
Yeah.
babe, do. So her getting a little bit frustrated with it not being as easy as the last time and as smooth as the last time. She's looking at me like, shut up. Like, shut your mouth and let me do what I need to do. The doctors are talking to me. I have 3 doctors right here talking to me. And you keep opening your mouth. She's looking at, when she gave me the look, it was the look that I'll never forget. She just turned, and I was like, it's time for me to shut my mouth. But I'm trying to be there for her. And it's like, you always say, be there for your wife, be involved. So I'm like, babe, don't worry, you got this, push. And she's like, get out.
Nah.
Get out now.
Of the room?
Get out of the room. And I looked at her and I was like, babe, you sure? I'm still trying to be positive. Babe, you sure? She's like, get out of the room. And I get out of the room and I'm sitting there and I'm outside the room for maybe like 15 minutes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they doing in there to my baby? I'm like worried. And I'm outside, I'm pacing back and forth. And then somebody comes out and get me like, oh, the baby's coming out. So I finally get to go back in there and the baby's coming out and everything like that. So all births aren't going to be the same. I don't know if you're on your first child, your second child, your third child. Things aren't always going to be the same, but as long as they come out beautiful and healthy, there's nothing to worry about, which I learned the hard way.
For sure. Let's take a quick break and we come back. We all have more with Dads Are Cool Too.
Let's do it.
Dads are cool too.
That's cool too.
Say dads are cool too.
That's cool too.
Say dads are cool too.
That's cool too.
Come on, Coco. Say dads are cool too.
Do.
Jax, Kobe, ready together. 1, 2, 3. Dads are cool too. All right, come here, Jax. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Dads are cool too.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's cool.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. Dads Are Cool Too podcast.
Let's go.
Second episode. Doing it just with the host. What's up, boy?
What's up?
We good. The next topic we want to get into is our perspective as roles of the father. So I read a couple articles that talk about what the role of the father should be in the household. I've read a few articles that talk about essentially some dads do less around the house.
Okay.
Once the baby comes, I read some where it's telling the mother not to be grateful for the dad to be to do the minimum, essentially. And I read an article that says that the mother is the primary parent, and the dad is just kind of just there. So what do you think? Do you believe that the father should kind of overcompensate or just do more in general based on what people think dads do? And especially in respect to what women kind of go through on an everyday basis and throughout their lives.
Yeah.
And then once they become mothers and all the things they have to do as mothers, what do you believe that you feel like the dad should have the mindset to overcompensate?
So I think that every relationship is a little bit different. So I think that if you have a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad, you would expect them to do a little bit more than the other parent that might be going out to work and stuff like that. But now that the pandemic, you have more parents being at home and working from home. Mm-hmm. I think that it should be equal if both of you are at home, and equal in spending time, equal in teaching, equal in, helping them grow. I don't think that it should fall on either parent. I feel like with the situation, you know what your situation is and try to go in there and just put 100% effort. Yeah. If you're going anything less than 100, that's when I think there's a problem.
Yeah.
If the kids need to you to step up with whether it's school or whether it's just anything, and then you falling back and thinking that just because you're working or anything like that, and you're giving less than 100%, I think that's where the problem is. Yeah, but if you give it 100% every single time, which I recommend every parent, give 110% every time you're with your child, mm-hmm. then I think that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question because it crosses into kind of another realm that this podcast doesn't really go into too much, but it's the dynamic of the parents' relationship,
Yeah.
right? Which of course directly and indirectly affects the child to a great degree.
Yep.
But in my opinion, disappointment is a function of expectation. So if one parent is thinking to themselves that this other parent has to overcompensate in certain areas or do more in certain areas, like what does that really mean? Because it's relative, right? It's relative.
Yeah.
It's dependent on that person's past. It's dependent on what they've been through. Depending on what kind of it kind of goes into a place of checking boxes, right? You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do this, and you have to do that. And it gets away from what that person might actually be doing, right? So maybe that person is doing a lot, but because they're not doing what you expect them to do, they're falling short.
Yeah.
Or on the other hand, they actually might be checking off those boxes and not doing what you need them to do. So they're doing what you want them to do, but not what you need them to do.
Yeah.
So I think it goes into the dynamic of the relationship between the father and the mother, and hopefully they're able to kind of have those conversations honestly with each other and figure things out for themselves. Because, like I said earlier, every parent is different. Every parent dynamic is different. Every kid is different.
Yep.
So, what about your family dynamic?
So I grew up with my mother, and my father was deported actually when I was a kid. Like I don't remember him being in the United States.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different. You were born there, I was born here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So my mother, I kind of like love the relationship that I had with her, where I try to do that same thing for my daughters, where I feel like they could go to me, where they could come to me for anything, where they could talk to me about anything. And up to this day, I'm calling my mom 2-3 times a day.
Okay.
I'm a super mama's boy.
Okay.
All right. So growing up without a father, I didn't really have expectations of how a father should be in the household. I had my grandfather, who was a great role model. I had my uncles, they were great role models, but it's not the same as having a father, because they're not gonna probably discipline you as much as your father would guide you and tell you you need to do this.
Yeah.
So now I learned from that, even though without having a father, on how I want to guide and protect and teach my children, if that makes sense. Like without having a father, I knew what I grew up without. And I know how important it is to be in their lives and teach them and just to be there for them, So I think that is definitely important to break the cycle. So dads out there, if you grew up without a father, you got, you can still be a great father. You don't need to have not the example. You could have role models or people that you could choose to look up to who will fulfill that, need, where sometimes it was basketball coaches who were great fathers who I could look at as a role model, or would just point me in the right direction. They would teach and instill values that were very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of articles out there talking about, in particular, Black absentee fathers.
Yeah.
And the role that that has on the children's lives. It was interesting to me because I kind of felt like a lot of dads that I know, they're very present, right? Definitely. Even if they're not physically present, right? They're still doing things to be a part of their kids' life, and they're successful at it.
Yeah, definitely.
But in your situation, that wasn't really the case. Sorry for that. But clearly it didn't affect you as much as maybe some other kids might have been affected by it.
Yeah, and I also I want other fathers out there to know that if your father wasn't in your life, that doesn't play a role in the father that you can be.
So is there any other advice that you would give to dads, especially first-time dads?
I think that the first step is to be there, and when you're there, be present and put 1,000% into it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that just being there isn't enough. Just put everything you have into it, because from birth, I think that children remember everything, and you don't think that they remember. They're watching everything you do. Just try to be a great role model as much as you can, and be there 1,000%. When you're there, put 1,000% in.
Yeah, for sure.
How about you?
It's very similar to what you just said. That's why we're doing this podcast together.
I know
guess.
we're definitely brothers.
We gotta fight a little bit. We on the same page every single time. But
Yeah.
like for me, yeah, I mean the 100%, 100+%. I agree with it, but I think you'll get there if you just try. Right.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just don't try.
Yeah.
Right. So just go in there and just try to be a good person.
Yeah.
When I was having my first kid, I asked somebody the same thing, like what can I do? And there was no real advice. They said, like, you're never gonna be ready, right? Because I thought I wasn't ready, right? It was like, I gotta save more money. It's like, you're never really ready, right? You just gotta go in there and just try your best, and everything will work out. I think one thing I would say is just try to like have an open mind. Submit yourself to what's happening around you, right? Because when you come home, you're like, I'm about to play 2K. No. I'm gonna go home. I have a couple of drinks. No. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna take a quick nap because work was crazy. No.
I hear you. I feel you.
So let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with Dads Are Cool Too.
Let's get it.
Thank you for joining the Dads Are Cool Too podcast. Hope you're enjoying the show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Dads Are Cool Too with 3 O's.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to episode 2 of Dads Are Cool Too podcast. Thank you so much. Shout out to everybody that helped us out today. P&G Audio. We also had Matthew Henderson, my brother, to come through and help us a little bit with the video. A lot of it with the video for sure. Really held us down.
Shout out to my guy, Mike Uko. Came through with the videography. Mike.Uko on Instagram. Check him out. He does a lot of good things.
For sure.
Shout out to Wifey. She was behind the cam for a little bit, helping me out. Shout out Lex. I see you, baby.
Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching, and continue to subscribe to us via whatever platform you're on right now. Also, make sure you follow us on Dads Are Cool Too with 3 O's, right?
On Instagram, yep.
And also on Facebook, Twitter, Dads Are Cool Too. And YouTube, check out the video. I think the videos will be up today.
Yes, sir.
Check it out.
Don't forget to comment, subscribe. Let's go, baby.
Thank you.
Let's go. Y'all see how we moving out here? Y'all see how we moving out here? Hey. Hey.